All right, today we're going to take a bit of a journey into a totally different way of seeing the world. We're going to explore a perspective on beauty that doesn't really care about perfection or things lasting forever, but instead find something really profound and, well, the exact opposite.
I mean, really think about it for a second. What's your first answer? Is it perfect symmetry, bright, shiny colors, flawlessness? Usually, our answers circle around the idea of perfection. But what if I told you there's a whole other kind of beauty? A deeper, more moving kind that you can only find in things that are flawed, fleeting, and simple. And this quote from way back in the 14th century, it's pretty much the key that unlocks everything we're talking about today. It gets at this core Japanese idea called mujo, impermanence. The understanding that everything is always changing isn't something to be sad about. Nope. It's actually the very thing that makes something beautiful in the first place. Okay, so let's dive right in with maybe the most famous of these concepts. It's an idea that finds beauty not in what's perfect and new, but in things that are flawed, humble, and have been shaped by the hands of time. So, the first thing you gotta know is that wabi-sabi isn't just one thing. It's actually two ideas that work together beautifully. Wabi is that feeling of rustic, quiet simplicity. Like a simple handmade tea bowl. And then you have sabi, which is all about the beauty something gets as it gets older. That greenish patina on bronze or the way wood gets smooth after years of use. It's the story that time tells on an object. And you can see this idea in action, really see it, in the history of the tea ceremony. Back in the 16th century, this tea master, Senno Rikyu, completely shook things up. He looked at the popular shoin style, which was, super opulent and all about showing off your fancy imported Chinese porcelain, and he rejected it. Instead, he created something called wabi-cha, which was the complete opposite. It was all about celebrating wabi-sabi. And what's so cool is that Rikyu didn't just talk about this stuff. He made it real. In his tea huts, a crack in a bowl, one that had been carefully repaired, that was seen as more beautiful than a brand new, perfect one. He used simple tools made from local bamboo. But here's the real game changer. He designed this tiny little entrance that forced every single guest, even powerful samurai, to take off their swords, bow down low, and crawl inside as equals. Your social status was literally left at the door. Okay, so from appreciating imperfect objects, we kind of naturally move on to our next concept. This one is about finding beauty not just in things, but in fleeting moments themselves. So mono no aware, it's that feeling, you know the one I mean, that kind of bittersweet pang you get when you see something beautiful. And part of what makes it so moving is knowing that it's just not going to last. It's not a sad thing really, it's more of a deep appreciation for the beauty of life, exactly because it's so temporary. And the absolute classic example of this, of course, is the cultural love for cherry blossoms, or sakura. And here's the key. They aren't beautiful even though they die so fast. They're considered beautiful because they die so fast. That brief, brilliant existence is what gives them all their emotional power. The whole country basically celebrates this feeling every spring. And artists, of course, have tried to capture this feeling forever. The filmmaker Ozu Yasujiro, wow, he was an absolute master. He wouldn't use big, dramatic speeches. Instead, he would show you the faces of things. He'd hold a shot on a simple vase sitting in an empty room right after a daughter has gotten married and left home. And just by holding on that simple shot, you feel everything, the sadness, the change, the quiet passing of time. All right, so far, it's been about what we can see. Cracks in a bowl, falling flower petals. Now, let's go a little deeper into a concept that's all about the beauty in what we can't quite see, in what's only suggested. Now, Yugen, this one's a little trickier. It's probably the hardest one to pin down with words. But it's not about like another dimension or anything supernatural. It's about finding these incredibly deep, mysterious feelings right here in our own world. It's a kind of profound grace that you can feel, but that's only hinted at. So, to get a feel for it, just picture this for a second. Imagine you're looking out at a mountain range in the fall, but it's all partially covered by mist. You can't see every single tree, every detail. And right there, that's the heart of it. What your own mind fills in, the world you imagine behind that mist, that's always going to be way more powerful, way more vast than anything that could just be spelled out for you in crystal clear detail. Yugen is the beauty of suggestion. You can see this so clearly in art, like in this incredible splashed ink landscape by the artist monk Sesshu from the 15th century. Look at all that empty space. That unpainted paper, that mist, is just as important as the actual ink. The forms just kind of dissolve. And because it's incomplete, it's like an invitation for us to step in and finish the painting in our own imagination. That's Yugen right there. Okay, on to our last concept. And this one is a bit different. It's a dynamic principle that, on the surface, seems to separate things, but it actually ends up revealing a much deeper connection. It's called kirei, which literally just means cut. It's this really cool idea that by intentionally creating a separation, a pause, or a break, you can actually create more focus and even deeper meaning. It shows up in everything from poetry to gardening. You see this all the time in haiku. A poem will present two different images, and there's often what's called a cutting word that basically creates a little pause, a conceptual gap between them. And it's in that space, that silence, where the real magic of the poem happens. So listen to maybe the most famous haiku ever from Basho. An ancient pond, that moment right there, that pause, that's the cut. It sets up this image of perfect stillness. And then it's contrasted with, suddenly a frog jumps in, the sound of water. That cut is what makes the splash so powerful. And this idea isn't just for poems. It works in physical spaces too. Think about a famous Zen rock garden. A simple wall literally cuts the garden off from all the noise and chaos of the outside world. And that act of separation is what creates this incredibly intense bubble of calm and contemplation inside. And to bring it full circle, let's go back to our filmmaker, Ozu. He was a master of the edit, the cut. He would cut from a quiet family scene to a shot of a passing train or a boat on a river. These aren't random. He uses the cut not to break things apart, but to actually stitch them together on an emotional level, creating this beautiful, continuous feeling. So when you take all these ideas together, the beauty in a flawed object, the sweetness of a passing moment, the power of what's left unseen, and the meaning in a simple pause, it all kind of boils down to one question for us. Where in your own life can you find more beauty by looking for less? Because at the end of the day, these ideas aren't just some high-minded concepts for art critics. They're like a new pair of glasses. They're a way to train our eyes and our hearts to see the incredible beauty that's already all around us, in the simple, the temporary, and the imperfect. It's not about what you see. It's all about how you see.